So there is a question about head tipping. So before there was no head tipping, and after some period of time the head is tipping. So this is the question I got. The head tipping, I understand that the parents are thinking about the head suddenly just fall back or fall forward. It's like the child is trying to hold the head, it's holding, and then in one moment the head just fall back and fall, or perhaps backwards. So the thing is, before there was no head tipping, and then you start to see this kind of collapse of the head. So why is this happening? So the reason why why it didn't happen before was simply because the child had a very short neck. So when the child had a very short neck, which is a typical thing for the smaller babies, and the smaller babies doesn't have the length of the spine which will create the proper length of the neck. In this situation, the child can actually use the surrounding structure, like shoulders, for example. So you see, if I raise my shoulders up and I make my neck very short, like my head cannot fall back. But when the child grow and when the neck kind of appear, it's easier for the child head to fall backwards. So you see, if I do it like this, my head cannot fall back. If I do it like this, the head can fall back. So if the child have a short neck, it actually gains some artificial stability. Now in time, the neck become longer. So when the neck become longer, the child have to work more. It have to work the neck more comparison how it was before. And you have to think about that. So then the child need motivation, and you need to think about holding the head. We never think about holding the head, but the child have to think about that. So the child need motivation, he need to think about holding the head, and then in one moment he could think about something else. And if he cannot think about two things at the same time. So if he think about something else, it could happen that the head just fall down. So this is because this kind of function, even if it's very, let's say, basic function, if the child have a problem with automatic control, he have to think about that all the time. So it's going to be a manual control, and this means he have to think about that. And if he think about something else, it can happen that the neck just fail and he fall. So in all this situation, whenever we see the tipping of the neck, basically of the head, it is always related as well with a very poor stability of the neck. So in the moment when the child raises the head up and when the compression appear on the neck, certain vertebrae, they slide, and the child literally feel that it lost the connection between the head and the rest of the body. So what happened is uncontrollable free fall, which he cannot control. So BDA in this situation is trying to improve the tissue response during this kind of weight bearing of the head. So when the head is up, there is a compression. This compression with a weak child will create a collapse and a free fall. Now we try actually to improve the tissue response so that when there is a compression of the head on the neck, that the micro movement between the vertebrae is creating tension, which the child can use for the support as we are doing that. So when we are sitting, when we are holding our head, we use our physiological curves. These physiological curves are important because they actually become the source of tension, like a spring. The bigger the physiological curve is, the more we accumulate the tension. If somebody press me from the top, I'm just going to create bigger curve. And then when he let go, my head will go up by itself. So we try to improve these tissue responses, which are very important for support for the head, weight bearing, or let's say head control, as well for the rest of the body.